Welcome to the Animation Career Community Podcast, where we answer your questions on how to grow, maintain, and transform your animation career at every stage. I'm your host, John.
And I'm your host, Kathy. Today we're talking with animator Eric DeCarolis about his career path working in the Canadian animation scene to now working at Sony Pictures Image Works on such high-profile projects as K-pop Demon Hunters. Having worked with Eric as both an animator and a lead, I can attest to his incredible talent, but also that he's just an incredible guy to work with. Get ready, it's going to be a good one. All right, well, Eric, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on. It's really a pleasure to have you. I feel pretty lucky that I got to work with you, and now I get to talk to you about your career path and everything you're doing right now. And I was hoping you could start by telling us how you got started in the animation industry. Like, did you go to school for animation? How did you get interested in it in the first place?
Well, first off, thank you for having me. And thank you for making me sound way more important than I actually am. That was super nice of you. But no, yeah, getting started in the animation industry, I think it was just the typical path in terms of falling in love with the craft when I was young, and then going to animation school. That was quite the journey, actually, just getting into school, because I came from a small town and I had no clue really what like a portfolio was or what to include. To like, I knew everyone's like, oh, you got to go to Sheridan, you got to go to Sheridan. So I applied to Sheridan with no understanding of really what it takes to get into the animation program. So I did not get in right away. And I actually have a few of my pieces, and I can see why. But I got into art fundamentals. So that kind of like, that was a good stepping stone to like, okay, this is the direction that like the quality that I need to hit to actually make it into the program.
A lot of people in my year, that was their path as well, that they started in.
I was going to say it's very common. I know a lot of people, even from my generation, that took that path, and also because they came from small towns, and oftentimes they went to schools that had no art teachers. So they needed art fundamentals to kind of get them set up for entry in animation.
And then even afterwards, I remember applying, and I didn't get in after art fundamentals, but like I missed the mark by like, I forget what it was, like a few points or something like that. They let you know your grade out of the thing, and I still didn't make it. And I was going to put in, you could apply again in the summer or something like that, like appeal it or something like that. So I was like, do I appeal this? Because I ended up getting in Windsor, which was like, it was a mix of 2D and 3D. It was called Tradigital animation. They were marketing it as not traditional, Tradigital animation. So I was like, okay, like I can do like 3D and I can do 2D. So I was just like, I have the offer. I'm just gonna go do this. So I did. It was a 3-year program. So I did that in Windsor.
Were you living in Windsor at the time?
Yeah. So I was in. They had a residence there. So I just lived in Windsor for 3 years. Went to school there, and I don't think I took animation as serious. Like I didn't know how hard it was going to be to get into the industry. I thought like every career, you just go to school and you finish your degree and you come out and you have a job. And like, I didn't really understand the struggles. And I think also I felt like I didn't realize till afterwards, but like, I felt like I was a big fish in a small pond kind of thing, where I was doing well for my class. But you don't realize the talent that's out there. Like when you get students from Sheridan and Ringling, and you're competing with all these people. So when I finished at St. Clair, I was having trouble finding work. Like I'd find like little contracts here and there, but to the point where like I wouldn't say I gave up, but like to make money consistently, like in the summer, like I was working with my dad doing construction, and it wasn't until like I kind of got comfortable with it. Like I was just like, oh, this is, I'm making a good living, and I can do contract work with animation here and there. And then it wasn't until my mom kind of gave me a kick in the pants. She's like, Sheridan has an advanced character animation program. It's 1 year. you're going to apply to it and you're going to go. And I was like, Mom, they don't take any people. And it's like, I think it was like 16, 17 people they took into the program at the time.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was, so I was just like, okay, whatever. So I worked, um, my mom told my dad, she's like, he's not working the next like 2 months. He's working on his demo reel to get into this program. So I literally like treated it like a job, and I just like created a new demo reel to get into the program, and luckily I got in.
Yeah, how lucky is it that you had your boss slash dad like
Yeah,
say,
so
this is what you're
I was
doing?
very, very, very lucky. And he actually gave me a sit down talk too. That was a little motivational slash like heartbreaking at the same time.
Oh,
And like, it was just like, I remember, so we used to like, he used to pour concrete footings for houses. And we were putting the walls up for the concrete to go in. And there was another worker on the other side, and he didn't latch the wall right. So all the concrete came pouring out, and it was
geez.
like ruining the house. And everybody had left for the day. So it was just me and my dad. And we had to try and like prop up this wall by ourselves, and all this concrete was coming out. And we fixed it. We had the engineer come by, and everything was okay. But it was August, and we were just like sweating bullets.
Oh, wow.
And we were just dying on the side of this house. And I went to, around the corner to get his Gatorades, and I came back, and he sat down, and he's like, I do not want you to take over this company for me. He's like, I do not want this life for you. He's like, I want you to go and do what you need to do. He's like, I wanted to be a pilot when I grew up. He's like, but like I did what I needed to do to make money, right? And that was like, whoa, like, when your dad sits you down and has a talk like that with you.
That's a really unusual story also to hear. Like, I remember hearing a lot of people telling me that like my parents were like, you can't be an artist. There's no way to make a career. Like when people had to like defy their parents to be animators. So it's really interesting to hear that your dad was like, this will be a better life for you.
Yeah.
That was totally me. But I mean, shout out to your dad and your mom, like to push you to get into this career.
I gotta say, like the backbone to my like entire career has been my family. Like even my sister, like everybody, like everyone never questioned me going into the arts. Like, yep, that's what you want to do. Go for it. And
yeah, that's incredible.
Just so yeah, I 100% have my family to thank about that. And then yeah, after that, it was kind of like I kind of took off after that. It was just kind of I got into the advanced, character animation program at Sheridan, and I just worked. I didn't sleep for that year. I just did as well as I could, and the goal at the end of the year was the industry day, where you kind of have all the studios come in and kind of offer you jobs if they think you're good enough, or jobs are available. So that was kind of how I got into the industry. I had industry day, and then actually my first offer came from Blue Sky, but at the time I think you needed a degree to go over to the States. And I didn't have that. I just had the my animation diploma, so I don't think it was the equivalent. Or you needed like 3 or 5 years in the industry to be able to go over. So that didn't end up working out.
Visa requirements.
Yeah. So that's what happened there. But then I interviewed a few other places, and then got some offers, and I settled on Nelvana, and then
so Nelvana was your first.
Yeah,
your first
Nelvana
job?
was my first job, and I think I was there for 4 years. Super comfortable. There was a little like dry spell in terms of like animation work, but luckily I knew how to model, so they threw me on modeling for like 6 months. So it was very like I was just holding on by the like seat of my pants, just in terms of like I don't know how to do much, but like I can model props and do simple
Right.
rigging, and they kept me on for that, knowing that more animation work was coming down the line. So yeah, that was my first.
So I know Nelvana's quite a, or used to be quite an established older company in Canada. Was there a lot of support for younger people like coming on? Was there like mentorship, or was it just like you get it done sort of thing?
Yeah, you just dove in. I remember my first shot was somebody who just like left the show and didn't tell, like they left for another company or something, and they didn't finish their quota or their shots, and they were already behind. And my first scene, I remember sweating. I thought I was going to be fired. Um, was like a food fight scene, and it was multiple characters throwing
Oh my
food, and I had to set
goodness.
up constraints, and you're working at 45 seconds a week, and um,
Jeez.
yeah, it was bad.
That's
But
really
luckily,
into the fire.
oh my goodness, it was. But at the same time, like nobody was like, "Hurry up, you need to get this done." Like nobody was pressuring me like that. But
Okay.
as a first shot for a junior, like that was a lot.
Pretty
Um,
intense.
yeah, but
What,
luckily, oh sorry,
sorry, I was just meant to ask, what show was that, if you don't mind me asking? I'm just
Mike
curious.
the Knight.
Ah, Mike the Knight.
Oh, I remember that show.
Yeah.
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 So it was pretty intense, but luckily I had a great late. Ben Pinkney
Yep.
was my lead. I don't know if you know him, but he's a great animator, just a great guy as well. I still catch up with him for drinks and stuff. But
Amazing.
he was just like, I still go to him to this day whenever I need like career advice or just like even shot advice. But he was my lead, and he's like, just let me know everything was going to be okay, and would come over. I had so many questions. He pretty much lived beside me for the first like 3 months of the show, just like helping me out with everything. So I was lucky that they had great people working there. I got comfortable pretty fast and learned a lot.
And were they pretty consistent with keeping you on? Nelvana was like one of the only places I remember like people were full-time employees. Were you a full-time
Yeah,
employee?
it was a full time. Well, it was. So you had to work there 2 years consistently, like contract based, to be considered full time. So if they kept you on for 2 years straight without like a gap, you were
Mm-hmm.
considered full time. At least I think that, yeah, that was it. So I was working for 2 years straight, then I became full time, and then yeah, like I said, there was that dry spell of like um, where I had to do modeling for a little bit, but then yeah, right back onto animation.
Actually, if you don't mind me asking, because it feels like your career path has been very distinct. Like animation is the biggest thing about you. Did you always know you wanted to be an animator? Like, did you ever think about getting into design first? Maybe as you were trying to enter, get the education in animation, or even your first job. Had you thought about different disciplines, or were you always like, nah, I got to be an animator?
I think I always wanted to be an animator, even if I didn't understand what it was in
Hmm.
terms of like when I know a lot of people are like, oh, I also want to be an animator because I like to draw and stuff. Yeah, I think that was the same for me. But then like I think I fell in love with the different aspects of animation at different points in my life. Like when I grew up, like my one of my oldest friends was also my next door neighbor, and we used to go over to his place and just shoot like old videos, like doing movies and stuff like that all
Right.
through like grade school. So that's like the character performance side that I think I fell in love with when I was
Nice.
smaller, and that stayed with me. And then there's also I loved animated movies, so there's a drawing aspect of being an animator in there as well. And then like when I got into like high school, I met my other friend Mike, who kind of introduced me to like film in general. I remember the first time that I saw The Usual Suspects, and he was the one who like he's like, dude, you got to watch this movie. Like, uh, that's the first time I was like wowed by a movie, and I just kind of like really fell in love with like cinema. I think I remember like going home to my
Right.
dad. I was like, Dad, we got to go rent this movie. It's amazing. You got to sit down and watch it with me. And I was just, from then on, I was searching for like different movies that kind of hit me the way that film did. And so that's like another aspect of being an animator, that it all kind of came together and I think helped form my
So what
decision.
led you to animation specifically? Like it sounds like you're really inspired by cinematic filmmaking, but what was the animation side of that that really attracted you?
I think it was just the character performance stuff. I feel like that's the one piece where you really get to put yourself into the film.
Mm-hmm.
So you get some kind of voice. Like there's a way to have, like a character designer can still have a voice, and or storyboard artist can still have a voice in making what are their choices. But for me, that was the easiest way for me to put a piece of myself into film, was character performance. So yeah, I think, like I said, like there was different aspects that kind of formed that decision, but I think it started pretty young. I think I delved into, like, tried to fool around with kind of being a character designer in school, because I did like the aspect of drawing, but I wasn't that strong in design. I don't think I was a lot better at performance stuff and animating, and so yeah, that's the route I took.
So, can you tell us a bit about how you got into feature films? Because I think if you've worked in the industry for a little bit or in television, say in Canada, you know that there is like a bridge to cross to make it into
Mm-hmm.
feature animation. There's definitely a barrier
Yeah.
to get down that path. How did you end up? Was it Blue Sky? Was your first feature
Yeah,
job?
yeah, it was Blue Sky, and it was honestly, like, I know it's so cliche to say, but it's honestly like you have to have the talent at the right time. Like you have to have the skill set to actually like be able to make it in there. But then also you have to get it in front of the right eyes at the
Mm-hmm.
right time. Like you be the most talented animator in the world, but like if they don't have a spot for you, or the right person isn't seeing your work, like the odds are against you already. So yeah, mine was super lucky. I didn't even apply. It was. Do you remember Tabaluga when we were
Yeah,
working on that?
yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was right after
It's
Tabaluga.
I think it's called something else officially. I
Oh,
think it's called
okay.
like
Well, it was we.
Lily the Ice Princess or something.
Okay. Well, Lily the Ice Princess or Tabaluga.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of. It was kind of dried up after that
Hmm.
film. Like we were. I think we were doing a pitch for another film or something like that.
That was at
There
Awesome
was,
Town. Yeah.
yeah, there wasn't too much going on at the time. I remember talking to Sean, our supervisor or head of animation. Um,
Yeah. He
yeah,
seemed to I think he was part owner as well. Like he was
yeah,
a
maybe, yeah, he
uh,
was,
yeah, but he was a great guy to work with too. Yeah.
yeah. So I was just like, listen, I want to keep my animation skills sharp. So like, do you mind if I just like, you know, practice animating? And he's like, yeah, man, do whatever you need. Like, as long as you're getting your work done, if there's downtime, go for it. Um, so is the 11-second club still around? Do
I don't
you
know. That's a good
remember that?
question.
Anyways, so that there was a competition. I think it was around December or something like that. So I was like, you know what? I'll when I go to work and I have downtime, I'll work on this little animation for the 11-second club. And I was lucky enough I ended up winning for that month. And you know, it was a nice little treat. You get like a feature animator to kind of look over your work. And then I think it was like a couple weeks later that Blue Sky caller emailed me, and they're like, "Hey, we saw your animation on 11-second Club, and we also looked into you a little bit, and we saw your Troll Hunters reel, and we want to know if you'd be interested in interviewing for an animation position."
Wow, that
Um,
is pretty nice.
yeah, so it was. I remember like I thought it was a like a joke at first, um, and I was just in shock. I was um, like anybody would be, kind of can't believe just the luck that just happened. It was a little bit of a process in terms of like um, figuring out the whole situation and moving there for a little bit. But yeah, that was what it took to get in for me. It was just honestly luck. Um, getting it in front of the right eyes, and
Yeah, I think a
I don't know
lot
Well,
of
what to say other
people
than
don't
that.
realize how much timing and luck
yeah.
Yeah,
play into it. Yeah.
But also the fact that you did that, right? You still
Mhm.
had to put your skill and your talent into doing that competition. That's what afforded you at least that first step, and then obviously the timing and the luck.
yeah. I think that's also where I think some people that are trying to break in to feature, and say you're just working on like preschool. Like, I know even when I was at Nelvana, well, as soon as my workday was done, I would go home and I would still animate personal projects, because I knew that the places that I wanted to go, the stuff that I was doing at Nelvana wasn't going to get me to the next level. Like, it would just get
Yeah.
me like another parallel opportunity that Nelvana is giving me.
Yeah.
So
You'll
I had
kind
to.
of plateau in TV because you have only so much time to do it.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
it's not that there's not talented people in TV animation. Just like
Hmm.
like when you're doing 45 seconds a week, or you know a minute a week or something like that, it's a lot different than doing 5 seconds um,
Absolutely.
of
Yeah.
animation on your own, right? So if you're not getting the opportunity to do that at work, you have to find opportunity or make opportunity for yourself to get a reel to go to the next level. And that's luckily what I did.
Yeah, it's not to say that you aren't getting a skill set in TV. Like, I think going from
Yeah.
TV to feature can be an asset because you know how to work efficiently.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so that can be really useful for especially the amount of revisions you do in feature. At least that's been my experience. You're just
Right.
reworking stuff, and you're not necessarily spending a ton of time all the time redoing stuff, right?
100%. And I think that's honestly one of my uh, best assets is my speed. And I think that
Yeah.
came from TV animation, right? Like, you got to think on your feet. Like, you don't have all day to come up with an idea and do a week's worth of reference and all this stuff. Like, you
Hmm.
got to hurry up and pump out an idea and try to make it look good in the same time. So
Yeah, I
when
was always
once
really
yeah.
impressed. I was always very amazed at your speed and quality level. It was
Oh,
impressive.
thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so I think it's once you combine those two things, where you can have the speed and then combine that with quality of feature animation, like, you can um, really find a good path for your career, I find.
So what was it like living in the States and working? Like what were like what did you find was the biggest difference from let's say working in the Toronto scene?
You know what? Not too much, to tell you the truth, other than like getting your paperwork together to go to the States. It was really nice. They took care of all my accommodations. Like, I didn't have to um, find an apartment or anything. They put us in like a really nice hotel. They took care of like our breakfasts and our dinners.
Well, that's a
Um,
difference from working in Toronto. They're
oh
not
yeah,
doing that here.
yeah. They were, they offered me something um, lower than what I would take in Canada, but at the same time, like, I went there as like, I told my girlfriend that, well, my wife now, uh, I told her, like, I'm going there to go to school. Like, I knew that, like, this was my one opportunity, that like my foot's in the door. I just have to kind of prove myself, get a good feature reel, and then hopefully, like, more feature work will come. So I literally, like, I felt like I was in college again. Like, I went there, I worked, I would do overtime. Like, people would be going to like out to see shows on Broadway and stuff. I'd be like, no, I'm gonna stick behind and do some work and stuff
Where
like
was
that. So
sorry, where was Blue Sky again? I can't
so
remember where it was located.
it was in Connecticut, but they had us in White Plains, New York, which is like, it was
Oh,
weird. Like we literally like would cross the line every day going to work. And that was another thing, that they would bus us into work every day from the hotel, which was great.
Wait, were you living in a hotel?
Yeah.
Oh
They
wow,
like
okay.
everybody that was hired for that project, they had us all living. It was like a huge, like, it was pretty much an apartment. Like, it was a huge, it was bigger than my apartment, actually. Like, it was a bigger kitchen. It was like a huge bedroom, a huge living room. Like, it was like a condo.
Wow,
Um,
nice.
so
Wow.
it was very nice. And then, like I said, I got paid a little less than what I was getting in Canada, but at the same time, like, because of the exchange rate, it just
Totally.
ended up being great. So, and then you're not spending much when you're there. Like I said, like, all your meals are covered, um, your housing's covered. Like, it was a great setup and a great opportunity. But yeah, in terms of like working in the States, everybody was super nice at the studio. Um, yeah, nothing really different in terms of that.
So one of the things I noticed when I went to the States and worked was not that we had more time to do things, but that when I was afforded more time to do things, I had to fill that knowledge gap of how to fill that time.
Hmm.
Like in TV, I know this is how much time I should spend on these items, but when you had more time, I was like, "Oh, what do I do with this time?" Right? And so that
Yeah,
was the learning curve for me when I worked in the States, was like absorbing what all those people had to teach me. It was a huge learning curve, I felt, in terms of, I guess, not working in the US necessarily, but just working in feature versus television.
yeah, that's 100% like a great point. I guess I didn't take that in terms of like just working in the States, but yeah, just making the shift to feature, I definitely had that problem too. I remember I did like a character test. Um, they gave you a test in terms of like seeing what you're good at or what you want to do, because they
Hmm.
just give you the character, the main character, and they're like, animate him doing something. So like if you did an action shot, they're like, oh, this guy probably likes action shots. Or
Yeah.
if this guy did an acting shot, then he likes performance stuff. Um, so I remember just like pumping that out, like I think it was like a day or two, and I gave it to supervisor. He's like, why'd you, like, you have like a week to do this? He's like, what, you can spend more
Hmm.
time on it if you want. I was like, oh, okay. So I just like brought it back to my desk, and then I was just like looking around, and I would start asking people to look at my work, or to see what to concentrate on. And I think I started to learn how much like design mattered in a character, and like keeping the
Hmm.
model, and um, really paying attention to like what, like, you can have a good performance, but like, does the performance actually fit that character? Like, um, so about, maybe you can put research into like, um, who's actually the voice actor? What are some actual references that you can look at that you could pull, um, to
And
make
what
the
are other
performance even
people?
better?
Yeah, what are other people doing? What's been
Yeah,
established? What can I build on?
exactly. So there's
Yeah,
there's all that
that's
stuff you got to look at.
yeah, that's not something you're encouraged to think about in television at all. So
I think there's not
uh,
enough time in
there
most
isn't enough
Yep.
cases,
time.
right?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
oftentimes, like preschool, especially, it's kind of, I hate to use the term, but it's kind of reduced to kind of generic acting and acting that kind of reads very quickly and easily, especially for a preschool audience.
Yeah.
But oftentimes the acting is fairly similar across all the characters.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
hardest thing is getting consistency on a television show like that. Where in feature films, they're also thinking, at least this is my experience, they're thinking about it on a character level, on a story level more than we
Hmm.
would on a television show. I don't know if that's your experience as well. Um, I also wanted to ask you about layoffs, because we recently did an episode on layoffs, where John and I talked about it, like studio closures and things like that. And I know that you were part of the Blue Sky shutdown. I was
Yeah.
wondering if you could talk a bit about that, like what that experience was like, and like how you moved past it.
Oh man, I was discussing this with my friends the other day, and I was everyone was making fun of me. Like, maybe you're cursed, because I think literally. So I was at Nelvana. That's no longer around.
Mm-hmm.
I was at Awesome Town. That's no longer
Yeah.
around.
Okay, but then I'm cursed because I've been
Yeah.
at plenty of places that are
I think
closed
we
down
are
too.
all
Yeah,
cursed.
yeah.
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 And then there was, so sorry, Awesome to Arc. You were there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Blue Sky, which I was there for, and then also Tangent. I was there when Tangent went down as well.
Yeah.
Um,
It sucks to be
so,
there when it happens. Like I was at Tangent
oh,
before it happened, so I didn't have to experience this, thankfully.
yeah, it's funny because so what happened was uh, Blue Sky, I was actually going to go back to Blue Sky for Nimona. We
Oh
were in the
yeah.
process, so it was during COVID, and we were trying to figure out like remote work. We were like in that whole conversation, and then yeah, the news broke. Somebody told me, and then so I asked HR, and they're like, "Oh no, I haven't heard anything. Everything's perfectly fine." And then literally, like I said, like a couple days after, and I went through a little bit of a panic attack because it's
Mm-hmm.
just so I was so used to like if I'm at a company, like I've never had real downtime or anything like that. I've been consistently working. Um, so I was just like, oh man, what's going on here? Um, but I was lucky because at the time I was still, I was at Janfield at the time actually. So
Mm-hmm.
after I finished my first contract at Blue Sky, I told them I was like, before I come back for Nimona, I haven't seen my girlfriend and like it's been a 8-10 month gap that we've only seen each other
Mm-hmm.
like every month or maybe twice a month, and like I miss my family as well. So I was like, I just want to go home to Toronto for like give me a few months, and then we'll work out this whole Nimona thing. So I was at Jamfield, and that's when COVID hit and everybody started working remote.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, like I was still at Jamfield, and they knew that I was planning to leave to go back to Blue Skies, but they were just like, they're like, yeah, just stay as long as you want. When you go back, you go back. Um,
Oh,
so
that's a nice
then,
buffer then.
yeah, so like I didn't freak out too much, but um, like there was still like I saw my career going in a different direction, and I wanted to continue to work in feature. But then, because like it was such a big announcement that Blue Sky went down, like I had people that were at Sony reach out to me, and they're like, "Hey, like, do you want a job over here?" Um,
Wow,
so I
nice.
was lucky. I was lucky again.
How long have you been at Sony now? I feel like we should
Uh,
talk about Sony because that's what you're doing right now, and working
yeah,
on K-pop. And did you work on Goat as well?
yeah. So I went to Sony for my very first film. There was Transylvania
Oh,
4.
cool.
Yeah. So that is such a good show to practice using like all of Sony's tools. Like they have so many
Mm-hmm.
awesome tools, and like you have to sculpt like every pose on Hotel Transylvania shows, right? Just because they get
That's
into such
wild.
like
Yeah.
so like you get thrown into the fire, like you learn everything. So that was my first show. Um, and
Were you working
then
from Toronto? Like, have you worked
yeah,
from
this
Toronto
whole
the whole
time
time?
I've only ever worked remotely from Toronto.
That's
Um,
pretty nice.
yeah, yeah, I'm very lucky in that sense too. Um, so Hotel T, and then I was still like doing contract work. Um, well, not doing contract work, but like I wasn't really like a rollover contract like I am now. Um, oh, I was talking to Tangent because they were offering me like a full time like position. I didn't have to worry about like contracts anymore or anything. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is great. It's in Toronto. I get a full time gig. Like I get benefits, all this stuff. It's a feature studio. It's doing awesome. So I told Sony, I was like, you know what? Thank you, but I'm gonna leave after I'm done Hotel uh, T. And so I came back to Tangent, and everything was great. And we were working on the Monkey King.
Were you working
And
in Blender?
no, we were
Because
doing no, we
Tangent
were
was
using
Blender when I worked there.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah, no, they switched over to Maya just for that production. So yeah, I was there for I think like 2 months, maybe three, and like word started getting around like, hey, this isn't like something's going on here. Uh, so just in case, I contacted Sony again, and I was like, just a chance. Like, is there room for me to come back? And they're like, yeah, like if
Mm-hmm.
you want to come back, we have another project. And I think
Oh,
it was
that's
literally,
nice too.
yeah, it was literally, I think it was like a week, 2 weeks later in Tangent, like they had an announcement for us. So like, they I forget the exact reasons and everything, but they ended up shutting down. And I was lucky that the week after that, I started back in at Sony, and I've been there ever since. So I think I went right back onto the Sea Beast after that.
Oh, that was like you worked on that too. That was great. I was really well animated. I remember loving
Yeah,
that.
that was
Uh,
I was super excited to get on that. I think it was more in my realm of animation. It was very like reference based, which I love to use reference. So um, I felt like that
is
was
that
like,
is that a Sony thing as well? Like I've seen a lot of the like stuff press that Sony's put out, which there's a
mhm,
lot looks like a lot of animators doing reference. I know Disney does that too as well, but is
yeah,
that sort of a policy for animators to be
no,
doing
not at
reference?
all. No, it's not
Hmm.
it's just they want to see. I think with a lot of feature studios, they just want to see whatever your plan is for your shot.
Hmm.
And I think that makes it easier on everybody, on the animators to the supervisors to the directors. Um, and it's as long as you have a plan. Like there's some people who just do amazing 2D passes. They're usually like more action based animators. Um,
Oh, that's
but
interesting.
yeah, my personal workflow that I like to do the most is shooting reference, just because there's so many quirky things that you end up doing in your reference that you never think about. Um, and it's just a great way
For
to
sure.
throw it in front of the directors and get quick buy offs, to the point where like sometimes like you'll act out like an entire sequence as a team. We did that at Blue
Oh,
Sky as
really?
well. Yeah, we'll get like,
That's fun.
yeah, so like you'll see a whole um, sequence pass of just animators, like everything working, and it's awesome to show the directors, because they can point out
Are you
every.
then yeah, are you then locked in though? Like are that they then like, well, this wasn't in your reference, so you can't make this
No.
change here, or are they still flexible?
Oh, they're 100% flexible. Stuff always ends up changing, even if they love your reference. Once they see it applied to a character, there's always like um, stuff that's changing. I don't think I've had a few shots that are pretty close to my reference, but there's always stuff that's changing. But it's just a general buy off with the reference pass. It seems like,
Yeah.
but I find it such a helpful tool, and yeah, like I don't think it's like an industry like standard kind of thing. I think it's become very popular just because like you get so much out of it. Like I said, with the nuance of your acting choices, and then like it's a
Hmm.
quick way to get director approval.
Yeah. Well, when I worked at Tangent, when they first started doing their first feature, I remember that they set a room aside for us to do reference, and then over the course of the project, more and more equipment ended up in that room, and we were like in the corner shooting reference. And I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think it
yeah,
was
Oh
there
boy.
after that.
yeah. People start bringing in swords and medicine balls, and yeah, and putting
Oh,
up like green like stuff on the wall so you can like chroma key stuff out, and like, yeah, it
Right,
becomes
yeah,
yeah.
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
mess in
Yeah,
there.
you become a VFX editor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're sort of coming to the end of our time now, and there's a question we like to ask a lot of our guests,
Sure,
which is I feel like we may have covered a little bit, but like,
sure.
what's a period in your career or your life where you're quite proud or happy with uh, a tough period that you overcame, maybe a challenge, personal challenge or work challenge.
Work challenge. I think just the
Doesn't have to be
whole.
work.
Oh, it doesn't have to. Oh man,
No,
there's
it
so
can be
many
personal. Yeah.
personal challenges. I think not have. So I lost my dad in 2016,
Mm,
and
sorry.
that was. No, thank you, appreciate that. But I think not having him around to see me get the feature, I think that was
Mm,
difficult. Um,
yeah.
so like I said, the biggest supporter, always told me to take chances. Like even when I left, sorry, Nelvana to go to ARC, I was super scared because I was like, I have it so comfy here in Nelvana. Like, it's just so
Mm-hmm.
easy, and it's like I don't have to worry about contracts. And then ARC made me an offer like, hey, we just come over here. And I just remember being so scared. My dad's like, just go take it. Like, how are you going to get closer to what you want to do if you don't take that leap? So if it wasn't for conversations like that and motivations like that, I wouldn't be where I am. So it's still difficult to this day that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing all of this stuff that he would have been proud of, and he's not around to see it. Well, he could be seeing it. I hope he is, but he's
I'm
Yeah.
he's
sure
the
he
one
is.
person that, yeah, he's the one person that I really I wanted to see, and for him to see this. And it's funny because I remember at the beginning of my career, I was very like, I'm going to show everybody that, that doubted me that, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to prove everybody wrong. I'm going to prove everybody wrong. And almost like a chip on my shoulder. But as my career goes on and my life goes on, I find it being like the reverse, where I'm thinking, like, I want to prove everybody right. All the people that told me that I could do it, I want to do it for them, because all those people that said like, oh, he's never going to make it and all this, like, all those people faded away. Like, I don't talk to those people anymore. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
so my motivations have changed in terms of like, I'm very happy with what I do, and I hope I'm making, my family proud about what I'm doing, and I really don't care about proving people wrong that told me I couldn't do it. So that I think I got a little off topic there, but yeah, that's
No,
just,
No, no.
yeah,
that's really lovely. I think the purpose of that question is to integrate what is our career and our life. Like those things are never really fully separate. Like I also lost my father in 2014, and I know it had such a big impact on how
yeah,
I proceeded with my career as well. So you can't really separate those things. They're part of the whole experience.
yeah. I'm sorry to hear that as well. I know
Oh,
it's a typical,
Yeah.
your world gets turned upside down. So, but at the same time, you start to see a lot more like beauty in the world, to tell you the truth, and how precious everything is.
yeah, you start to reevaluate what's valuable in your life.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but thank you so much for doing this chat with us. It was really lovely. I have followed your career a little bit over the years, but it's been a pleasure to see how well you've done and to see your success over at Sony as well.
Oh, thank you so much. It was great catching up, and thank you for having me on. It was a blast.
Thank you, Eric. Amazing.
Well, to our guests, talk to you next time.
The Animation Career Community podcast is created and hosted by Kathy McDonald and John Lee. Music by Mike Romaniak, mixing and editing by Kathy McDonald, and produced by Kyrene Kim.